COVID-19 had a big impact on food security in the beginning, and that was purely because governments had to enable and enact circuit breakers and lockdowns to ensure public health safety. But what we saw was there was a lack of access in some places to food in retail environments. It didn't mean there was a lack of food, it simply meant that there were supply chain chokes and the food just couldn't get in there quickly enough. Now, since the beginning of that and where we are now, food is plentiful in retail environments and in online as well, but some of the most vulnerable people in society are being impacted by food security because they simply don't have incomes, because many of them have lost jobs, and so there needs to be stronger social safety nets for those people at the bottom of the pyramid. A lot of people are talking about what the new normal might look like post-COVID-19. A lot of that is crystal ball gazing because we still don't know. But one clear sort of indicative trend that we're seeing now is the move to online. Perhaps what we're seeing now is that people who were less likely to adopt technology are more likely to shop for groceries online than they ever did in the past. And that's simply going to accelerate because it's simply not that easy sometimes to get to retail environments and into shopping malls and places like that. So clearly what we're seeing is consumers are having a huge trend of migrating online to buy their essential groceries. The second thing with that is, with COVID-19, is it's made people slightly more aware of healthy diets. So what they're looking at is trying to consume things that boost their immunity, that are more fresh produce, but at the same time, because they're staying at home a lot, because they have to, they're still indulging in a few product categories that they've enjoyed, perhaps when they were a kid and they've gone back to it as an adult. What FIA is doing to look a little bit further ahead of what some of these key challenges and trends are going to be is to start commissioning more work on consumer insights. So looking at some of those trends that are going to be more sticky with consumers because of what happened with COVID-19, and perhaps what behaviours may go back to what they were pre-COVID-19. And we want to focus some of our research on that to share that with our members. The second one is to watch what's happening in trade. There's a lot of talk now about changes in supply chains, and we see some geopolitical challenges with certain markets. And so what are going to be the implications on trade and some of the potential trade barriers that might emerge related to issues around COVID-19? And then the third one as well is to have a little bit more foresight and thinking around what does food security mean in the future, and how do we as an industry become more resilient? How do we support governments with the right type of regulations and policy? And how do we ensure that consumers have access to affordable, safe and healthy foods?